single moms in the house. Come on.
I wonder if guys ever look at a woman who is beautiful and then she opens her mouth and then he's like, what a shame. What a shame.
Well, not beautiful, but aside from that, welcome to the world of men. Guys, it looks like single moms are on the warpath again, after listening to the song of our generation, especially in the media. As is the typical move for modern women, they see the writing on the wall, often long before they hit it, and think that there's some kind of conspiracy keeping them from moving up in the world. And as is the case with all of these victimhood narratives, add a single mom and you suddenly see the whole thing compound into a complete mess. The latest has to do with single moms in the labor force. Like in this LA Times article, which insists on focusing on anything other than the fact that the country is collapsing, called Opinion. Single mothers like me are easy scapegoats, but the case for marriage is a myth.
Enough already!
Whatever. Here we go. I am happier as a single mother than I ever was as a married one, despite the fact that 47% of Americans think single mothers are bad for society. Becoming one made my life and my children's lives much better.
Incorrect.
This was made clear to me during the COVID-19 shutdown, when my kids were in 3rd grade and kindergarten and Zoom school would often drive all 3 of us to tears. I was making near poverty level wages, still trying to dig myself out of the debt of divorce and the cost of living. At one point, a friend texted me to ask how things were going. I can't imagine doing this pandemic as a single mother, she said.
You deserve it, baby, you deserve it.
I took a breath and looked around my house. The light was pouring in through the windows. My cat was asleep on my lap. I was working hard and exhausted and afraid, but I was also so happy because for the first time in my life, I had the space to do the work I loved. Oh, you have a cat? That's surprising. Anyway, maybe I'm being cold-hearted, but this whole thing made me laugh so hard that I started choking on coffee. The starting point made about how 47% of Americans think single mothers are bad for society is worth focusing on, though. According to the data I've been sifting through, not only is this number larger now, but it continues to grow, and there are clear reasons for this. First, people, especially in the US, are starting to realize more than ever that single motherhood is almost always an option. And second, single moms contribute very little, even before they become single, so it's not a shock that more and more are not getting handouts anymore. But also third, the hustle might have worked for about 50 years leading up to the advent of mainstream internet accessibility. But now the average person, especially men, sees the attitudes that these chicks bring out into the world. They're the closest thing civilization has to a walking red flag.
Damn, shawty was... Oh, never mind, you fucking pregnant, my bad.
She was old and ugly.
The present isn't the kid. The present is what the husband gives you as a present because you gave birth.
Yes.
Okay, I see. So the baby itself is not the gift.
Yeah, the baby's not the gift.
The baby is not a gift.
Okay, so you're getting a gift.
Sorry.
And you consider that you deserve the gift because you had the baby.
Yes.
So then this means that you are giving the baby to the man.
The idea would be to raise the child together.
Okay. But you just deserve a present?
Well, I sat and I did the pregnancy. I'm the only one that can go through that. So, yeah, I would get the present.
Okay. I get it now. I think I understand.
Do you think
so you have a baby, you get a present because you have a baby. What are some things that a husband deserves a present for?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that.
And this captures much of the problem perfectly, boys. When it comes to single moms, the word of the day, every day, is martyrdom. I grew up with a number of guys with a single mom for a parent. There was maybe one out of the batch that followed the traditional role and the father passed in the line of duty. I am, of course, not talking about these cases. Then there was the majority, women who were constantly, in one way or another, making their kids feel like a burden, with one speech or another talking about how they, even though they chose that life, were living in the trenches. Just like this one. Court-mandated 50-50 custody meant my ex was doing his share of the online schooling and child rearing. My friend's husband has been ignoring their kids to focus on his sourdough starter project. By the next year, she too was a single mother.
He knows Mandarin, he makes sourdough bread.
Single mothers have been blamed for everything including crime rates, school violence, and poverty. Alone and without a man, they are the specter of our cultural anxiety. People wring their hands and wonder who their sons will look up to without husbands around, as if sons can't love and admire their mothers and see them as models for humanity.
Because they can't play.
Single mothers are more likely than married women to be poor and to face the pressures of the wage gap and the lack of affordable childcare and healthcare in the US. But single mothers themselves are not the cause of these deficiencies. We are merely a byproduct. And here come the crocodile tears. I think the main things to focus on in this excerpt are custody, crime rates and anxiety, and the wage gap. Lady, your friend left her husband because he was a man. Sure, sourdough is a unique goal, but he literally did what any functioning masculine man does. Pick a career path, hunker down, and do everything to make a living to support the family. And you punished him for that. You listened to progressive elites and Redditors, resented your own flesh and blood, and then kicked your man out of the house for working hard. You're not a hero. You're a liability. As for the crime rates and anxiety, correlation isn't always causation, but nobody can fight the truth in this matter anymore. The data is so overwhelming that if printed, there would need to be a second library of Alexandria just to archive the evidence linking single moms to crime and anxiety. Again, this is what I'm talking about when I say that they all cling to this nonsensical conspiracy. And third, not only does the wage gap not exist, but both you and your friend there had every opportunity to avoid poverty, a direct result of your own mediocrity. Instead, you decided to be an overweight freedom fighter trying to balance the impossible. In other words, you got greedy.
Say, why would a man who makes $75K date a mother that has 6 children by 3 men?
Oh, well, I would say, I have dated men of many calibers, and that has not stopped me from pulling a lot of nice men.
You're done, ma'am.
Hey, what's up, man? Can I please see my kids?
You got $1,000?
$1,000, really?
Yeah.
I ain't got $1,000. I've been paying bills.
I don't care about your bills. All right, you got 300?
So you gonna recharge me to see my kid?
Yeah. Cause shoot, I got bills and stuff to pay. I gotta take care of him. 300.
All right, if I give you the $300, how long can I keep them?
An hour and a half, maybe.
Only an hour and a half?
Yeah.
All right, so
like, it's take it or leave it.
All right, I bet. Where you want to meet at then?
On like 60th and Capitol.
All right, I'll meet you there, all right?
Yeah, be sure to have that money. You got cash app.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I pay you. I just want to see my son.
All right, yeah, have that money.
All right. Proof.
Now, this, gentleman, is what we call extortion, and it happens about every time one of us ventures over to the can to take a piss. Single moms take a big game about how they're suffering out in the cold world, but they always neglect to mention that they're using their children as leverage any chance they get. It's why this woman in this article hasn't mentioned her kids, almost at all, and solely focuses on the lack of benefits she expected for screwing someone over. It's why this chick started off her whole tirade about 50-50 custody. That hit hard for her. It meant that she wouldn't be able to use her own children to collect rent. And yet, she continues to play the victim card over and over again. Although I chose to be a single mother, our society often doesn't acknowledge that many single parents were forced into that situation due to issues such as abusive partners, incarceration, and a lack of reproductive rights.
You fucking them?
Single mothers are easy scapegoats for problems they didn't create. We are shoved into poverty through systemic problems and then blamed for it. In The Blueprint to Save America, the Republican Study Committee's fiscal report from June 2022, the group repeatedly emphasizes that marriage and family should be the focus of government spending instead of the social safety net. The report argues that it's being a single parent, specifically a single mother, as they never mention single fathers, that tends to lead to poverty. The solution? Force people into marriage in the name of fiscal responsibility.
That sounds reasonable.
But often walking out of single motherhood into marriage is like walking from one cage into a slightly bigger one. Reports smearing single mothers are ubiquitous, but we rarely consider that marriage itself can be a form of entrapment.
It was a choice.
For example, husbands add 7 hours of domestic labor per week for their wives, while a wife reduces her husband's labor by an hour a week.
Math, 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 math.
Additionally, almost 20% of American marriages involve some form of physical violence, with emotional abuse even more prevalent. Women do more child rearing and more adjusting of their careers to accommodate family and domestic partnerships, and there is a lot of evidence that supports the idea that divorced women are happier, not to mention that single mothers have more leisure time and get more sleep than their married counterparts. You know, oftentimes these can be a real headache, and don't get me wrong, this meets the criteria, but it's fun to dismantle. Lady, or 304, single mom, you seem to be missing the point entirely. Marital laws with restrictions, regardless of political origin, according to historical documents all over the world, have almost always been a net positive. There's a reason that there was originally tons of red tape separating a woman from divorce, and that's because the obstacle, albeit hard to climb over, forced both men and women, but mostly women, to contemplate if the separation was worth it. Chicks, especially when they get older, are guided by a crazy amount of hormones that make them impulsive. By requiring a hesitant and objective third party, marriages were often more successful. Why? Because it made ladies think seriously about taking the next step. Second, you were never in a cage. Get over yourself. And you're not in a cage now. The only arguable cage that you might inhabit now is a product of choice. And that domestic labor you're referring to, well, that's what women are good for. Not only that, but that's what you were intended to do. You are the product of decades upon decades of brainwashing. I'll use this last clip to answer your argument regarding abuse or behavioral concerns.
If a man gets destroyed in divorce, we say he picked the wrong woman. If a woman becomes a single mom, do we say she picked the wrong man?
Absolutely not. We don't.
I know when a lot of men go through divorces or marriages, everything they worked for or everything they achieved can be taken away within a matter of a second.
Why is there a double standard there?
There is a double standard there because when it comes to the genders, there's always going to be a different perception between the two. They're always going to consider a man to be strength, a woman to be soft. So whenever somebody makes a bad decision or something messes up, they always tend to blame the other party instead of themselves.
You can't cry as a man. You can't cry in front of people. You gotta be strong. You gotta act like this, act like that. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be emotional. We're all human. So I think it's more forbidden for men to get asked to be victims.
I'll do you one better. Real men aren't victims. They learned a lesson, and they move forward. That's the difference. Meanwhile, single moms act like a child jumping into a Mr. Beast van full of candy. The problem with this logic is, you're not toddlers, and you possess an adult brain making adult decisions. Ergo, you can't blame men for choosing people with questionable motives. You did that. Nobody else is responsible for that. So the article continues with, I am not surprised that single mothers are seen as a negative for society. Free women are destabilizing. Their existence, their radical happiness upsets our cultural ideas of what love and family ought to look like. I am glad it does.
You're mentally ill.
As a single mother, I've been forced to build a new kind of life for myself. I own my own house, and I filled it with pets, books, and friends. I do less housework than I did when I was married. I realize part of this is the privilege of being able to find work that pays my mortgage and puts food on the table. But part of it is the equality I gained through 50-50 custody, which gave me time to work, something I never had when I was carrying the bulk of the emotional and physical labor during my marriage.
Did you know that 70% of women that come to DT Riverside are single moms?
No, I had no idea.
With that being said, how many kids do you have?
I don't have kids.
You have any kids?
I don't have a kid.
What about you?
Have to. Where'd you get that information from?
There's a professor by the name of Duran Ward at UC Riverside that conducted this study. It was a study that was done over the course of 12 years of going out to both Riverside and Redlands.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a high number, right?
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Okay, let me ask you. If you're here, who's with the kids?
My mom.
Is it always like almost like a huge release and relief to come out?
Yeah. I'm having the time of my life right now. Just being right here.
My man, did you know that 70% of women that come to downtown Riverside are single moms?
Nah, I didn't, but I seen them.
Is that believable?
It's believable. Riverside, y'all gotta come down.
Why do you think there's so many single moms out here?
I don't know, but I see the ratio is more moms than guys, and I like that shit.
Okay. Hey, are you looking to be someone's stepdaddy tonight?
I may be one or two. I'm down.
That'll work.
I ended up losing the man that I was supposed to marry because I was too hot in the ass. I was thinking I was the shit and had options, and I did, but they wasn't good fucking options. I ended up losing a man that I would call 3 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to cuddle, and this man was coming town to see me. You know what I mean? 3 o'clock in the morning. What man you know doing that? I had a man that knew me and my son was in the house hot as fuck. He went out of his way and spent $300 on getting me and my baby an air conditioner to put in our house. And me and that man ended up hitting a rough patch in our relationship, and I decided to go seek, other options because I thought they was better. And, at the time, dealing with it and being in the midst of it, it might have seemed like it was better. It might have seemed like, yeah, this is a lot better. But, after it's all said and done, that shit wasn't better. You know why? Because that man that I was supposed to marry wouldn't have had me dealing with my pregnancy alone. He wouldn't have left me out to go to every single appointment by myself. He wouldn't have had me in a delivery room by myself giving birth to not one, but 2 babies at one time. That man wouldn't have missed his kid's first birthday. That man wouldn't have not seen his kids in over a year in person. That man wouldn't have fed me bullshit and lies and excuses on why he couldn't be there or why he can't show up. He would have made a way. And it's like, I just say all this to say, like, you really don't know what you got until it's gone. You really don't know the value of things until it's gone. And I'm not even trying to bash my baby father or anything like that or speak down on him. But it's like, if I had known better at the time and I wasn't so young, dumb, and full of cum, I wouldn't have did that, If I had known better, I would have done better. And every day I'm working towards trying to forgive myself for that because he didn't deserve that. And, women make mistakes too. It really ain't all the men that out here that be cheating and lying and, doing stuff like that. Like, women have babies on men too. And I'm sadly one of them. But I love my kids with everything in me. And I wouldn't trade them for nothing in the world. But I just wished I would have picked a better father.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Wow, a single mom going out solo and regretting it. Didn't see that coming. This woman in the article basically made a manifesto founded on denial. How do we know this? Because half the time she's complaining, she then follows it up with how she's doing just fine. Well, lady, we're doing just fine over here. But we actually mean it. Men have gone their own way, listening to stories like this, shaking our heads, and realizing the only way to solve this societal burden is to not fuel that fire. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.